Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, the author of Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life and host of the podcast you're listening to right now, Incredible Life Creator. And my guest today is Bishop Perry. So, Bishop Perry packed his trunk and drove across country in pursuit of freedom. His goal is to inspire people like you to live life on their own terms. Bishop Perry is a music publishing pro and creator of BHP Royalty Company, a music royalty collections company for the new music industry. He shows aspiring artists and songwriters simple steps for improving their royalty income. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Bishop. So, just so people can get to know you, why don't you tell us your story?
Oh, no problem. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and lived in Las Vegas, Nevada, all in pursuit of success. So, initially, in my journey, I had a job in St. Louis at a corporate organization called Ralston Purina, where I was had aspirations of being a chemical engineer. And it just, at that time in my life, I was 21 years old. I just wanted more. I just wanted more out of myself, and I wanted more money at the time. So I took the leap of faith, and I was currently, at the time, doing promotions for 5 major record companies. So I had an idea of how the music business worked. And I just thought that maybe I'll just lean my energy in that direction. And here we are, over 22 years later, and I'm here in the music business. So that's kind of how my journey, has been.
Exactly, in hot Atlanta. And I'm from Georgia, so we're Georgians.
Yes, yes,
A
yes,
great place to do music, that's for sure.
yes,
So,
yes. It's a wonderful place.
yeah. So, when did your love of music begin?
Whoa, great question. Well, it began during the hip hop era of, uh, of rap music. And my brother, he was just such a fanatic of this one particular rapper. And I had a chance to meet this rapper. And it was at that moment that it was, the rapper's name is Ice-T.
Mhm.
And meeting him changed everything. And I was 12 years old, and he was just he was so approachable, and he was just so like, I see, you young guys, I see you drive as young men. I just, let you hang out with me for a while. And went to school the next day, and he gave me his autograph. He signed it very personally. And it instant stardom at school. So it was just, I like the fact that, some celebrities have this, this characterization that they're unapproachable, or something bad will happen if you try to say something to them. And in that case, it was so genuinely received. We were all surprised. We thought we were in trouble. We just took a chance, to meet this guy. And he was like, "Oh, just hang out with me." Oh, we was just ecstatic.
It sounds really exciting. Really exciting.
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh, at
yes,
any age, but especially at 12 years old.
yes. 12 years old. We were young, and we were ambitious young men. We weren't kids that were out just doing, breaking the law or anything. We were very constructive young men growing up.
Mhm. So, when did your business life begin?
Oh, my business began in 1998 as Odyssey Entertainment, as a promotion and distribution company.
Mhm.
And like I said before, I need some more challenge. So I expanded, learning more important aspects or factors of the music business. And I began studying the copyright law, Title 17, United States Code Title 17. And it just fascinated me to just learn the sequence of the copyright law. And that's when I began BHP Royalty Company. And BHP Royalty Company saw an opportunity to administer royalties for artists who are unbeknownst to missing royalties out there.
Mm.
And the first royalty collection that I did was the late Nina Simone.
Mm.
And from there, I've
Love
collected for,
her. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I love her.
that one there. That is
She is
like,
just
I
classic.
think she has a guiding light on me, honestly. I mean, it sounds a little, I don't know, out of the ordinary. But when I did that, I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know anything, and I'm going to tell you, when I did it, it was on 56K in fax. So that's just let you know the technology that I was using back then. And the response to it was so positive. And that's the key. When you're doing something with your heart in it,
Mhm.
the response should always come back well received.
Mhm.
If I'm not saying that you're not going to hit the roadblocks, but you're in your lane when your results come back satisfying.
Mhm.
So from there, I wanted to collect royalties for more artists. I wanted that feeling of making people feel good, of collecting money that they didn't know about. So that led me to Ray Parker Jr. It led me to rap group UTFO, artists by the name of MC Light, and then to Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Mhm.
So, and from there, I mean, now it's just my name, the company is out there now. So now we're sort of branded behind being able to find royalties for songwriters and artists. So that's, kind of how it outlines there.
That is beautiful and such a wonderful service. Because I remember, like, this is dating me, but I remember when, all of a sudden things were going from records to 8 tracks to CDs, and then it was
Mm-hmm.
digital, and there was Napster, and there was these
Yes.
other, I don't know if they called them apps then, but these other software
Mhm.
that was stealing people's work basically,
Yes.
and people could
Yes.
just like download it without paying for
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes. You are. I appreciate the fact that you are very knowledgeable about that time and period in music, because it's very pivotal at that point, because the entire industry had to adapt to digital music, and it was like the baby kicking their feet. They don't want to go. So the majors, they put up all these roadblocks for companies like Napster. They were called peer-to-peer file sharing systems or networks. And they kind of used that to prevent any forward progress with digital music. And as recent as 2018, with the law passage of the Music Modernization Act, has been the way that companies like myself are able to administer the royalties that are unclaimed for songwriters and artists. So that was a very pivotal time in music. It really was. I can tell you a real quick story about how I accidentally capitalized on exactly what you're saying about that transition. At the time, I was distributing music, and the deal that I had set up with the record stores was consignment. So when you do consignment, you have to issue an invoice. So I was in the chain stores like HMV, FYE, Tower, Blockbuster Music, Warehouse Music. I was in all those. So on consignment. So I think Blockbuster Music was the first to file bankruptcy. And I had a little product in their store, and I'm concerned about how am I going to get my product back.
Right.
But it didn't dawn on me that I became a creditor when I issued them an invoice. So they couldn't give me the product back after filing bankruptcy. They had to give me the retail value of it without it ever having to be sold. I was like, wow. So I just watched the dominoes fall and make sure I had enough product in each one of those stores before they filed bankruptcy, and they issued checks. It was amazing. It didn't dawn on them, but that's what happens in bankruptcy court. You have to liquidate your assets to pay off your creditors. And with me issuing I didn't know it trickled down to small invoices like that. So it was a cool experience.
That is cool and amazing, because a lot of times by the time it gets to the smaller invoices, there's nothing left. But obviously there was something left for you.
Something left for me. Something left for me. I'm ecstatic. I'm waiting for that to happen again.
Exactly. Yeah. So now, as far as running your business, are you taking on more artists, and who would be your customers? Are they only very famous people, or is it people who are just starting in the music industry? Who would need your services and come to you?
Great question. The services are pretty much framed for songwriters, artists, record labels, or just rights owners in general. So in the case of you aired the rights to a songwriter, then, without knowing how the administration process works, you will call upon a company like BHP Royalty Company, and we will make sure that your administration is handled properly and you collecting the royalties that were aired to you. So we work with a bunch of different ranges of songwriters and artists. Some are legendary, some are older artists, and then some are fairly new, but we try to work with artists that have a catalog of music, to make the recovery of royalties worth the effort. So if, let's take, for instance, someone had 10 songs, in their catalog versus a songwriter that has 200 songs. We would find more royalties for the songwriter that has 200 songs versus the one that has 10. I'm not saying that we wouldn't work with the one with 10, but we're looking for more of the 200s and, more.
Because you can recover more for them. Because
Yes,
basically you're recovering monies a lot of times that they don't even know they're owed. Is that right?
Yes, most definitely. Now, in the past, there was an organization called Harry Fox. They're still around, but they are responsible for most of the royalties that there is a license that accompanies the songs in order for the fees to be collected. So Harry Fox has been the dominant organization single-handedly for close to 50 years. So with that law passage, it opened them up to not being so exclusive. I guess it deregulated to a sense, to where companies like mine could take advantage of this opportunity and administer royalties for, some of these older artists. They, back then, as soon as they sign a contract, they on the road. They never see what the business looks like, Only thing they see is the check that's supposed to come. So now that the digital age has made things a little bit more fluid, we're able to see those pockets that have been unseen, in the past.
And what do you enjoy most about what you do, working with these artists?
The phone calls I get when, just appreciating the money, just appreciating what we've done to create a form of revenue, income. It's the greatest feeling, and the fact that it's perpetual makes it even better. One of my clients, it just dawned on me, it's been 20 years since we set them up, 20 years, and they still getting a check. And that was through an organization that was enacted by Congress called Sound Exchange. So, being able to keep my ear to the ground has allowed me the opportunity to be first in line in a lot of cases. Whenever the law changes, I'm right there. What's supposed to happen next. So with this law passage, it's just been a great opportunity. So.
Yeah. sounds like you're really up to date on all the laws as far as what's happening. Has there been any other kind of groundbreaking laws that just really changed the industry?
Tell you, you asked the greatest questions. Excuse me. So there was a law, the Audio Home Recording Act of 1992, very pivotal, because this is the time where devices are starting to change, the devices that play the music. So we're going from the cassette player, the Discman, the Walkman, to the first edition MP3 player, the Diamond Multimedia player. And the law was changed. One specific word was changed to protect the interests of the manufacturers that make these devices, like video recorders, cassette recorders. There is a tariff or a tax that they have to pay for each device that they manufacture. And that tax is based upon the assumed loss of royalties due to the duplication and reproduction on those devices, right? So the only thing that protected that was the Audio Home Recording Act of 1992. But when they amended that law and changed the word of copying to cachet, some people say cash, I say cachet. So when they changed it to cachet, that changed the dimensions of how the music was stored on those devices. It was no longer being copied, it was just being temporarily stored on those devices. So now those devices are not considered restricted to the Audio Home Recording Act to pay this tariff for each one of those devices that they create. So now you have the creation of these devices now that you hear music on, okay, such as the phone. So imagine the phone companies having to pay a tax on each one of the phones that they create. That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And they were allowed to change the language of the law, which prevented them to have to pay that tax.
Wow, that is huge. Thanks for sharing that. You know your stuff, so that is really, really exciting. So
thank you.
Yeah.
I just love, I mean, I spent countless hours just studying. My office was in Lenox Towers on Peachtree Road. And, you know, had interns from all of the local schools, Georgia Tech, Agnes Scott, Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, Kennesaw State, Clayton State. I had students from I wanted them to experience, you know, hands-on what it is to be in the music business, not just to be a spectator, but more of a participator, you know. And those interns, you know, they took that experience, and some have gone to do some great things because of the experience that they had with me. So, you know, I just love what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And talk a little more about just being an entrepreneur. So I'm sure when you were with these interns, you were teaching them some of those important principles.
Yes. Yes. So, you know, the basic principle is get your paperwork in order. You can't you can't run a race without traction. Okay. There's a certain standard documents that are required in order for you to facilitate entrepreneurship. Knowing how to, you know, get a tax ID number, knowing how to register with the Secretary of State, knowing how to set up business bank accounts and things like that. Those are things, and, you know, getting lines of credit. You know, you have to have a standard that is, you know, received in other circumstances, you know, as if you were doing it with another situation once before. So you want to keep it kind of aligned. That way, when opportunities come along, you don't have to change your entire program just to take advantage of the opportunity. It's more of a walk-in, you know, where you're cordially invited. so to say. I like that. I like when opportunities are presented like that, but you're only able to take advantage of those if you're prepared. If you're not prepared, then you're just using the word entrepreneur.
Exactly. So get your basics all together, regardless of which direction you go in. If you got your basics, you're ready to go. And as you were
Yes.
speaking, I was thinking about, I was wishing that they would teach those kind of things in the schools. And I don't want to talk a lot about it because I get on my soapbox, but I think in schools we need to teach children about how to be an entrepreneur, how to do those economic type things. And I love that we're teaching them English and math and stuff, but what do you need calculus for if you don't know how to read a business profit and loss sheet? What's the sense of having to do? Does that make sense?
Oh, there was one. Yeah, there was another key component to that, your business plan. Okay. So you have to have a business plan if you're going to be an entrepreneur. If you don't, you're just shooting from the hip, and business is not the wild, wild west, even though some people treat it like that. True entrepreneurs don't shoot from the hip. Everything is guided to a perfect stream. Everything is aligned perfectly. It's aligned to work. So, I'm not sure how good some people's luck is with shooting from the hip, but mine's not that good. So I'd rather plan for it and know exactly, what risks are and what the probability of success is.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I just wanted to change gears a little bit. So I know one of your heartfelt things is mental health and education on mental health. So why don't you talk about that, your journey with that and how you're involved in that?
Well, mental health is very personal to me because there was a time where I suffered from deep depression, very, very dark place and time in my life. And being on this side of it now, I can see where if things were intervened, the capacity of holding all the depression probably wouldn't amount the way that it did. So I have partnered with a university in St. Louis, University of Missouri, St. Louis, called UMSL. And they have a program that they were offering to train individuals in mental health first aid training. And I said, this is probably an opportunity for me. I did my research on the model that they were using. It's a successful model out of Australia. So this model of first aid, mental health first aid, has been tested around the world. So it just landed here in the States, and I was like, okay, let me take advantage of this. So they have, been a good resource for me when it comes to knowing how to create training sessions and things of that nature. But I think it's so important for society in general. I think it's a part of that caring portion of your spirit that we all live with, even though some don't want to admit that they have it. But it's there. It has to be there because you were given the breath of life from God, and that's how he operates with that. So there's no way you can be absent of that. But in the care of it, I think that we all should have some type of idea of what to do if we're ever faced with an individual or ourselves with a mental health crisis or challenge, because it can be life-saving. It can be life-saving. It definitely can. A friend of mine, very close friend of mine, actually, this is so ironic. This is the first time I even thought about this. He's a client. And he tried to take his life about 3 weeks ago. And I knew, but he's my client. So at that the moment I said, I will never do that again. I will never fuse the blurriness of seeing somebody having a mental health crisis or challenge because they're my client. Okay. So it was at that moment, his experience gave me growth. And I told him, I said, I apologize to you. I said, because I seen signs, but you were my client and I just didn't want to overstep my boundaries, you know, and he appreciated that, but I won't do that again. That could have cost him his life, you know, and I can count my regrets on one hand, but I think I would have felt regrettable about that. So thank God that it didn't happen.
Exactly. Wow. And so when you talk about mental health first aid, what is it that you're teaching people? What do we need to know? We know what to do if someone stops breathing. Or CPR. But what about mental health?
So mental health, we have steps that you can take to recognize the signs of someone having a mental health crisis. And one of the normal or most common signs is someone distancing themselves. So if you see, someone who's usually, you hear a phone call from them or something like that, that's usually an indicator that somebody's doing okay. All right. But when that goes numb, I think that there should be alarms that go off in some of our brains to say, hey, let me check on this person. Let me check on that person. Even if you're just going to say, you're on my mind, you don't have to, go into a whole, bit about what they're going through, but just the concern sometimes is enough for someone to, be pivoted from traveling down the dark tunnel there. So in mental health first aid training, the training involves 1 day. It involves 8 hours of study, 2.5 of the hours of study are done online, and then the remaining hours are done through Zoom. So in the training session, we have breakout rooms. We talk about different scenarios. We go through a pretty extensive experience, because we want the individual to really capture without it being so gloomy, so dark, because the reaction to it is dark, but the offense to it doesn't have to be, so we emphasize that a lot in the training. So even in the training sessions, we've had experiences where some of the participants, they become so overwhelmed just hearing some of the stories, because some of them are pretty, relatable. And, we have breakout rooms where they can go, and this is all through Zoom. They can go talk to one of the facilitators of the training session and, just get whatever is on their mind, on the ears of another concerned person there to kind of help them through those experiences. So it's a well-rounded, type of training. So we try to protect the interests of everyone involved. And one of the key components of the training is self-awareness. So as we experience, these stories and these circumstances with individuals, that can become more of a challenge with the trainer as well. So we have, this self-care that we have to participate in as well. I do meditation a lot. So meditation has helped me a lot because I like to hear the silence, because it almost like you can almost hear God in silence. I feel like you can hear him in that silence. So, and it just brings you to such a focal point. And I love it. I love meditation. So mental health first aid training is a great opportunity for communities to become better. It's great for individuals to become better. We have since began discussing partnerships with some colleges, some HBCUs, Meharry Medical College being one of them, Harris Stowe State College in St. Louis, Missouri. So the training is not just for the students. The training is for staff as well. So we're trying to just blanket the situation as much as possible and to saturate as many interested parties in learning about mental health first aid. This program has been very successful in the city of New York, very successful in the city of New York. So I figure, with a city being of that size and being successful, with mental health first aid training amongst the citizens, it can happen any place. They say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
That's right.
So
that is so
right.
right.
This mental health first aid training model has made it in New York. So why wouldn't it make it any place else? So I'm glad that, I was able to become a trainer with mental health first aid. So that's kind of how mental health first aid, training works there.
So if people were interested in taking that course, where would they find a place to do that?
So you can go to tunnellightinc.org. That is the nonprofit organization that I'm a board member of. And you can go there and we will begin scheduling training sessions here. I think we're going to be starting in June, and people will be able to sign up. We haven't put up the schedule yet, but they will be able to sign up getting closer to that month there.
Okay, will you spell that for me? Because I actually don't have that in the show notes, and I will put it in there. So how do I
Okay, I'm
spell
sorry.
that?
It's tunnel, TUNNEL, LIGHTINC.org.
Okay, so I'll make sure and put that in the show notes. So if people want to go look that up, they have a reference for it.
Yes.
Okay, that is wonderful because we all need that. We all need that because everybody has times in their life when things aren't really going that great. And it's really easy to get in that spot if you start doing that self-talk where it just seems too hard, and it's great for people to notice that you're going through that.
Yes, that is man, I help a lot of people. I'm grateful for that spirit. At times I used to be mad that I have that spirit, but man, when you can see how life-changing that can be for somebody, that is God power there. Whenever you can change anybody's life, that's God power. So I try to do that a lot. You never know what somebody's dealing with. You never know. And it could be the straw that break the camel's back in some cases, that sends somebody over the edge. And, I just believe God protects me in every case and scenario. So if he compels me to help people in instances, then I'm going to, I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to, follow his guidance, and I do it. And I'll tell you about the experience that I had. I can't remember the name of the restaurant. It's right there off of Peachtree Road downtown, right where the Georgia State building is. But anyway, on that strip where they got like all the little stores, the restaurants, the pizza shops and things like that. I was having lunch one day with a friend of mine, and it was the sandwich shop there. I think they serve Rubens or something. And I'm hungry. I am hungry this day. And it was a great day outside. And I got my food, and me and my friend, we go outside, we find us a table and sit down. And as soon as I sat down, this guy walked up to me and he say, man, I say, don't say another word. I say, here, just take it. I said, just take it, man. Just take it. I say, enjoy. Matter of fact, have a seat right here and enjoy this meal, man. Enjoy this meal. Didn't know, and now the entire patio is crowded with people. But I didn't even see anybody at that moment. It was all about this man here who I just saw needed some help, and I gave him a meal. But the owner of that restaurant was looking through the window, and he came out to me. He said, man, I just saw what you did. He said, whenever you want anything to eat out of here, you can come here and get it free of charge.
Oh, wow. That's pretty
The owner
amazing.
happened to see that, and he didn't hear what was being said. He just saw. He just saw. He just saw. And that was just, I was like, man, I love that feeling. I love that feeling of just helping somebody, just helping somebody, man. Because I mean, help is good, and it's always satisfying when somebody gets it, So whenever I'm able to do it, I know I'm leaving somebody with a good feeling. So
Exactly. So it sounds to me like your faith and just listening into that still small voice is a big part of your life.
Yes, it is. We all have it. You just got to know how to hear it. You got to know how to hear it. We all have it. It's not like I possess something you don't. When we all we have to breathe the same air here, that means we have a connection someplace. We're not indifferent, okay? So that common denominator goes deep into our spirits. And that thing that says, I can do it, that thing that gives you the confidence, that thing that says you're going to be okay, that thing that says, do it anyway. That thing, when you can hear that one, beautiful thing.
That is really beautiful. And thanks for sharing that story. So it made me go back to another question about business. So when it comes to business, you talked about being prepared, having your house in order, having your paperwork, having everything aligned. So how much of business is science and facts, and how much of business is intuition and gut, and how do you put that together?
So, well, in the past, in the analog era of the music business, it would be more of a relationship experience when you're doing business. You had to know somebody. You had to meet somebody. Somebody had to introduce you, okay? And intuition would play a part in that, because you will want to meet the right person. And the right person could be standing in front of you, but if it's not in your, ambition to approach this person and try to make a connection, then it doesn't work for you. In this day and age of the music business, everything being digital, it allows you to override that requirement of having to have a relationship in order to do business in the music industry. So now that we have platforms like Pandora, Spotify, they're now the pseudo AM/FM radio stations now, okay? So, radio stations, you had to have a relationship with a program director, music director, in order to get airplay on the radio station, So the fact that it's in the digital age, it has overridden a lot of those connections that was required in order for you to be successful. So now you're seeing the influx of independent success, viral sensations. We're seeing record companies sign artists just based upon their performance through their social media platforms. So in the intuition now is on them. They're expecting a great return on what they're seeing with the success of these artists, through their social media platforms, and their intuition is telling them, I should go sign this artist based upon how many likes they have and all those particular things. So, but in business in general, I would say intuition is that feeling of confidence, of letting you know that you are there, prepare yourself accordingly, and move forward. That's what intuition is. Not there just to spook you out. It's there to guide you. It's there to let you know something next is about to take place here. So prepare yourself and move forward in it. Michael Jackson lived by the saying of perfect execution. Perfect execution. How can you have perfect execution? If you practice enough, every execution becomes perfect. So now I understand why his movement, his ability to sing, it sounded almost out of this world, because he believed in perfect execution, countless hours of practicing, countless hours of studying. So perfect execution is a good attribute to have in your toolbox.
It really is not easy to do, but very good. Well, for sure. Have to be dedicated, committed, and consistent.
Yes.
Consistent's one of my favorite words. Consistent. Even when you don't see things changing or you have a hard day where the practice wasn't so great, consistency always wins in the end.
Consistency always wins, because that is even though I have not been able to break through that wall over the last, I would say 15 years with what I'm a specialist at, which is royalties. You have to wait for that opportunity to come. I don't care if it takes you the last breath of your life to take advantage of that opportunity. Be ready for it when it shows up. That's it. So in this case, in particular with administering these royalties, I would not be able to administer the royalties the way that I do in this current time if the law hadn't changed in 2018. But I was prepared whenever it was going to change. I was going to be prepared when it does. So
I love that advice. So I want to ask you a personal question. What gives
sure.
you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life right now?
I would say it's multifaceted. It's several things. One being family. I'm a very spiritual person, and I just keep hearing the voice of my ancestors say, make sure you stay in the family, make sure you're doing it for the fans. I just keep hearing that. So that brings happiness. Just the idea that I have a connection with my ancestors. It might just all be me, but I might not know the truth of this until I cross over, but just to live in that realm or idea that, your ancestors want you to just, make sure you put an extra effort in for the family, don't let the family, lose the linkage, and those type of things. So that would be one. The other would be just helping people get their money. That is happiness for me. I don't like thieves, and I feel like if you're not giving somebody their money that is due to them, that's a form of, deception, So the joy that people, I mean, some of the phone calls that I receive, they just lets me know I'm doing the right thing. If you're doing something that makes people happy, you're doing the right thing. Period. I'm not saying that everything you do is supposed to make somebody happy, but when they are voluntarily expressing to you their happiness, it's not requested, it's out of the kindness of their heart, and them wanting to express how you made them feel, and that's happiness for me.
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. So if people actually wanted to work with you or get a hold of you as far as just business, do you have a website, or what can you share with us?
Yes, I can be reached online on any platform at BHP Royalty. That's on all platforms. The website is bhproyalty.com. You can see our services on there. You can see some of our clients that we work with. And if you're interested, we can do a free royalty analysis for you. So be sure to check us out and schedule a consultation with us. And we'll be glad to see if there's some royalties out there for you to undiscover.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for being on the podcast today and sharing.
Oh,
So it's
oh my
really,
God. I love this podcast. It's a great feeling when you have a host like yourself that is so creative with the questions. And, I think you have a craftiness about knowing how the response is going to be. And I think it's so awesome that you're able to get a great amount of information in a short period of time.
Right. Well, thank you so much. So I have one last question before we finish. What is your best advice on living an incredible, amazing life?
Oh, be grateful for everything. Be grateful for everything. Gratefulness helps. It's an appreciation directly to God. Be kind as often as you can. Be kind as often as you can. And never stop learning. Never stop learning. It's life. You're going to learn till you die. Why not enjoy the experience of learning something new every day if you can? Or learning something that is so endearing to your heart that is honorable in the eyes of others. So I would say, moving forward with those three components of just being kind, being grateful, and continuing to learn will get you further in life.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Bishop.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Have a great day. Have a wonderful evening.